Alright, part one of the flatbed build. Here we have, if you're watching this video you probably already know what it is I'm building, but I might end up releasing the introduction anyway. So here we have the prototype for the watertight cylinder for my 1/20th scale flatbed from James Cameron's 1989 film, The Abyss. Now, yeah, this is not a finished product by any stretch. Focus! Oh, well, it doesn't want to. Yeah, it's just cardboard and hot glue, and that XT60 is not connected to anything. But I'll just give you a quick overview of how it's set up. So flatbed is going to be brushless, and I don't know what motors I'm using, but I should be hearing back from Bob Martin tomorrow about motors. So on the bottom here we have two brushless speed controllers. I can't tell you very much other than they were they're not terrible, but they were $10 each from RC Hobbies in Sydney. And as the good ones that I intend to use, which are larger Turnigy, not Race Star, but some special race thing, are still out of stock. Until they're back in stock, these are what I'm using. You can see they've got these incredibly annoying little capacitor dongle things hanging off them. I wish they'd just built that in like Turnigy did. And they've both got Tamiya plugs, which are also really annoying, so I'm swapping them over to XT60s. Or an XT60. Here we have you can't really see it, that's a Futaba R129DP, 9-channel PCM receiver. This is Australia, so of course we're using 36 MHz, which is, well, that's just the frequency we use here. Got two SG90, so 9-gram servos. You've got the switches for the ESCs. That one's a bit inconveniently placed, but it's not bad. You've got the push rods exiting the back, and of course, because flatbed is a dual motor sub, and I'll get to the actual controls in a sec, you have your 6 motor outputs from the speed controllers, and so they can be used both together, or simultaneously, I guess you could say, and differentially, to turn the sub, and they're both two-way ESCs. What else is there that I need to mention? Oh, yep, there's the radio. That's a Futaba T8 UAP. So I'm just going to pause the video and plug it into power. Alright, so it's all plugged in. You can see the little lights from the ESCs there. Quite bright. Not that there will be any light leakage into the sub, because this is going to be a dry hull boat. So if we have a look at my flatbed plans up on the wall here, this fits just into that tiny little section there behind the cockpit detail, and the whole front will pop off. And you can also see a light seam line there, so a casing will pop off there. You can disconnect everything, then 2 screws, and the whole assembly will drop down. So it is a ridiculously complicated design, but I will get to the actual hull in a later video. So now I have an Elevon set up, mix. I mean, of course, it's a Futaba, they do absolutely everything. So, I mean, they don't. OpenTX does absolutely everything. But so I just turn the Elevon mix on. That combines my elevator and aileron channel. These are for the flaps behind each of flatbed's ducts. I've no idea why you would want roll on a submersible or a submarine at all. But they had it on the original filming miniature, and so I'm going to have it on this. And I mean, I guess you can drive it, because it's going to be pretty powerful with 2 big brushless motors driving it, and quite large, quite steeply angled props. So yep, that would be down actually, because this will be like a plane. So that's down. That will pull on the things and angle my. Oh, hold on. Yeah, angle them down for both of them. and up is the reverse, and then to roll left or right moves them differentially. And unfortunately, as I said before, I don't have motors, so I can't show you the throttle working, but I have two proportional mixers. One of them throttle as master, rudder as slave, the other one with rudder as master, throttle as slave. So that's one in one direction, one in the other, and they work exactly the same as the two servos here, except they're motors and speed controllers. And these ESCs have very strange brakes. So forward, it spins up and centers, and it just lets it spin down. Reverse, it spins up, and then as soon as you center it, there's actually an electronic brake that stops the motor. So I'm not quite sure how that's going to work with the steering, but as I said before, they are just temporary. I'm also planning on using a little Hobby King switch for channel 5 to turn on the large, or to turn on the many lights, in particular those two big ones just in front of the sail there, which will actually make it look a bit like the Nautilus, believe it or not. I'm sure Bob Martin would approve. Anyway, so yep, there's your servos, speed controllers on the bottom. It was a serious challenge to fit all of this in such a small space, and it is currently the 18th of May is the date. I don't expect to have the project finished for a good few months from now, because of how huge it is. Actually, no, I think a couple more specs. Battery. This here is a 2-cell lithium polymer. That's what I'm going to be running the final thing off. It won't have the balance lead, and it will all just be sealed. I might even, just for the memes, use myself some, whatever it's called, Flex Seal spray, like the Phil Swift stuff, because why not? And it does work. And then just grease up the XT60 that will plug in there. And yes, I am using an XT60 because, well, they're a decently sealed connector, and they also can handle a lot of current, which the Tamiya ones cannot. And I'm just using a little converter here. Another big problem is you can see as the servo moves, it's changing the angle of the pushrod, which is a real pain if I want to try and use a shaft seal on there, which, as that's kind of all that's available for metric measurements, that's what I'm going to have to use, like a little O-ring or something. Having it shift around is horrible, so I'm going to use a massively miniaturized version of the, well, of course, again, Bob Martin's linear servo conversion, which is for the big standard size. Like, there's an example of one to show you the difference. That's a standard size servo. That's an SG90. So certainly not the smallest servo around, but tiny compared to this. So that will be a bit of work for the future. But for now, yeah, there you have it.